Welcome, No DQ Galaxy, and we are back for another edition of the No DQ Review, number 28. And I am here with Aaron Rift, with TJS, and with Son. What's up, Son? Welcome aboard on the No DQ Review.
It's great to be here, and of course, for you guys who don't know my trademark introduction, Son's short, basically, hey everybody, Son Goshoku here, and I'm ready to go ahead and break down this week in WWE. And I just want to also say to the No DQ Galaxy, thank you so much for all the wonderful feedback. It really is touching. I did not expect such a wonderful welcome feedback, so thank you guys so much. You guys rock for that.
And awesome, and that's why you're here. To stifle the virtue hate. TJS, man, welcome back. What's up?
Hey, guys. How's it? Yeah, in the bathroom, of course. And before we started this video, I just wanted to let you guys know that WWE is doing an all-women's pay-per-view October 28th. Over 50 women. Yeah, Stephanie McMahon announced it Monday. I don't know if you guys have heard. It's called WWE Evolution. It's gonna be groundbreaking and historic. Aaron,
I thought I heard it 3 times. I thought I heard it, but I guess I wasn't sure. Thanks for reminding.
Of course.
I'm sure you'll hear it again before we're done doing this video.
Probably so.
So are you ready? Are you ready, TJS, to discuss some topics?
Oh, I'm ready.
I hope so. But before we start, Aaron Rift, how's it going?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm stoked for this video. I'm stoked for SummerSlam. I'm stoked for All In Weekend, even though I'm actually going to be at a Foo Fighters concert on September 1st, so I will be probably not watching All In unless I watch part of it on my phone, which I might do. And then, of course,
Did you say foo or food?
Foo Fighters.
Fighters. Okay. It sounded like you said food fighters.
I got you. Delicious. But, yeah, Foo Fighters on September 1st, and then we have Hell in a Cell. And then way out there in October, we have the groundbreaking, historic WWE Evolution pay-per-view.
Oh, interesting. Well, but we're going to start the topics and covering wrestling like we do at NoDQ.com. And Aaron, you do this quite often these days. We get deaths. And it sucks because some of us remember some of these performers more than others. Depends on how old they were. But this past week, Nikolai Volkov and Brian Christopher, Grandmaster Sexay. So we'll just go around the horn, and if you have any input on either one of them, if you remember them, obviously we have YouTube, so the WWE Network, so you might have caught them on there. I'm interested in anybody's thoughts, memories that you had from them. I personally liked them both. I was entertained by both. I met Brian Christopher at a couple indie shows before. The Nikolai Volkov thing, me starting watching wrestling in the 80s, it just takes me back to, wow, I'm getting older. This sucks. I hate this stuff. And we know Vader not too long ago as well. So, Aaron, I'm going to start with you. I know did you guys put a video up this past week?
Yes.
Okay, so it's reiteration for you, but you want to add anything extra to the No DQ review about Nikolai or Grandmaster?
Well, obviously, the Brian Christopher story is very tragic, and I'm wondering what's going to happen next because there is an investigation with this death, and Jerry Lawler said that there may be more than meets the eye. So I'm wondering what's going on here, if there might possibly be some sort of legal action towards the police officers. Maybe they did not look after him properly. Who knows? I'm really curious to see how that plays out. But yeah, the whole story is just really sad, and not much more else to say about it. People die. That's life. Tyler, I know you're fairly young, and Nikolai Volkov was before your time, but any thoughts on him? And I'm sure you have more to say about Brian Christopher since you grew up basically on the Attitude Era.
Yeah, well, it's very sad to hear when anyone dies, and especially in pro wrestling. We've had Vader, like you guys said, and Brian Christopher now, and Nikolai Volkov, and even Brickhouse Brown, even though he was much before my time. But yeah, I've seen the YouTube videos of Volkov singing the Russian national anthem, drawing heat, back when it was, when it was okay to be not so PG, to draw heat that way, and everything wasn't so played out and everything. back then. So the foreign heels weren't just getting cheap heat. He was actual heat. And with Brian Christopher, it was very, very tragic. He was young, and it was Jerry Lawler's son. And, I just think back to the Too Cool days and all of his dance moves and everything. He was with Scotty 2 Hotty. I always loved when Brian Christopher put the goggles on before he went for his leg drop. And even he was in NXT. He challenged for the NXT tag titles once. And, it's just all very tragic. I didn't really like Brian Christopher's his last appearance in WWE when he was brought back. It's very sad to hear. And like you said, Jerry Lawler said there might be more than meets the eye. So I don't want to speculate, but we don't know what's going to happen. And my condolences go out there to the families of both of these wrestlers. Son.
I'm a 90s kid, so I didn't grow up in the 80s, but gone back and watched some stuff, with Nikolai. Not too familiar with his work, but I've seen it, and I've always been very impressed with what he was able to do as a heel back there. Aaron, as you mentioned, back then when being a foreigner heel, got you legit heat. I didn't, unfortunately, see him first time until I think the Gimmicks Battle Royal at WrestleMania 17. But looking back on all the footage, I always have respect for those who paved the way, and I am very much grateful for what he dedicated to the wrestling business. With Brian, I am more familiar with him, grew up obviously in the Attitude Era. Who didn't love Too Cool, the dancing, him with Rikishi, the epic Royal Rumble, the main event they had in February when I think it was the summer of 2000 when him and Scotty won the tag titles, and just how over they were. And I do remember when they brought him back in the storyline with Michael Cole, and I think that may have been the last time we saw him and his father on WWE Scream. So, kind of depressing that that's exactly where it's going to end that. But I also remember on the old school Raw when they brought him and Rikishi and Scotty 2 Cool back, and we got to see one more time, and it sucks that we were not going to get to see that. It's really unfortunate to hear that he took his own life. I wish he would have been able to, whatever demons he was facing, I wish he would have been able to conquer those. But my most sincere condolences goes out to Jerry Lawler and his family, and it just really is sad, but I'm always grateful for what wrestlers were able to dedicate to the business and make their contribution, and may they both rest in peace. Along with the others, we had 2 more deaths, so for everyone who contribute to wrestling, may they rest in peace, and condolences and love to the family.
And what we have to remember is, they pass on in this life, but we can always watch them because they were performers. There's videos, there's the internet, and we can go back. And for the people that never saw Nikolai Volkov, you can check him out and see how the Jinder Mahal type experiment didn't work today, but how it worked back then. Especially, you had the Bolsheviks, but especially with Iron Sheik and Nikolai. I mean, that to me, just a dynamic heel. And again, yes, they played off that now cliche foreign heel gimmick, but it worked so well. And maybe because we had the Hogans and guys like that and the Ultimate Warriors that, they went against. But as for Brian Christopher, it's, to me, it reminded me of that he was the Attitude Era, just, in the Attitude Era, just beyond when wrestling, Aaron, website hits were up, right? It was a great time. And if anything, it just sucks that in wrestling, in the business, and Vito's attested to this on our videos before, it's hard. You get demons, you get injuries, you never know, and you get lonely when you lose that fame, right. And it sucks. And I'm interested to see exactly what happened with his death, with his investigation, but it doesn't change anything. And, like I said, I've seen him in a couple indie shows in the past 18 months, and then this happens. So rest in peace. And I don't like this news, and I don't want to have any more wrestlers pass away. But let's move on. We got to get that out of the way. I know it just seems so like we talk about this once a month now with the wrestler passing away. Paul Heyman on Raw. I loved this performance. I know Raw, Aaron, you gave it a D. Heyman has been pretty cliche with Brock Lesnar for the last several years. He comes out and cuts the same promo. But did we not get a thread? Brock, whether he was there for the whole show or those were pre-tapes or not, we know he showed up at the end. They had him and Heyman interacting the whole show. Kurt Angle was sprinkled in there, and we got a payoff at the end. So I'm going to start with you, Tyler. What's next for Heyman and Lesnar as we're getting into SummerSlam, and we've talked about this before? It seems like it's time that they're going to take the title, the Universal title, off of Lesnar, although just when we thought they were going to do that, they kept it on. What is next for Heyman and Lesnar? I'm interested in everyone's opinion here because is their dynamic getting old? TJS.
Well, I can tell you what I want to happen, which is I want Heyman to turn on Brock and say, Brock, you want to put your hands on me? I was the reason that you held the Universal title for so long. I talked to management and made it to where you only had to defend the title every so often. They could play that into the story and say that Brock's just a big dumb brute and that Roman is actually the future because Roman's a lot younger and Brock's beat up and whatnot and he doesn't care about WWE. And you could do the perfect Roman heel turn, but that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that Brock might apologize to Heyman next week, say that he got out of hand or, he was angry. Either that or it's just going to be a big troll job. Heyman's going to laugh in our face. And then Roman's going to beat Brock. I have a feeling. And that's just the same old played out stuff. But I did enjoy that we got the whole show to have a story, like Virtue said, the thread. There was, in the beginning, Heyman said that Brock will come out what he wants. Throughout the show, we got snippets of Brock. At the end, Brock came out, and we got the payoff. Like Virtue said, it's not hard to build stories, but WWE doesn't want to do that, apparently. Son, what'd you think about what happened Monday?
All right, so this segment, first of all, after years of us seeing that Homer Simpson meme sitting on the couch with Brock Lesnar's face photoshopped on it with the Universal title, I was like, yes, WWE finally gave us that visual. And I was cracking up at it. And yeah, they booked it this way through the whole entire show. This segment right here, I'm looking at it closely, and they're having Brock start to turn on Heyman, and I wanted to get invested, but I'm like, nah, this is going to be one swerve. But like Virtue said, Paul Heyman put in a tremendous performance. The facial expressions, the body gestures. That's what everybody loves about Paul Heyman, and I've heard the complaints about how Paul Heyman, he says the same old, and I do agree. No matter how good you are, if you're saying the same old, it gets tiring, but it will never take away from Paul Heyman the way he projects his emotion. And when Brock came out, I'm like, yeah, that's why I didn't get invested. But then they swerved me. I was not expecting Brock to go ahead and choke Paul Heyman down to the ground after giving Kurt Angle the F5. So I thought this was really well done. And, it kind of they kind of worked me a little bit. They kind of did, because I'm kind of sitting there like, all right, I really want to see Brock Lesnar in the storyline get his butt kicked, because think about Paul Heyman going back to 2003 in SmackDown when they reconciled. Brock Lesnar and Paul have been together ever since then, and I kind of never was for Brock and Paul splitting up again, because I thought they just worked so well as a pairing. But then when you get to this moment, it's like, everything that Paul Heyman has done over the years to Brock Lesnar, and this is how Brock repays him. So I kind of got sucked in a little bit, but what stops me from fully investing is knowing exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to use Roman Reigns to get everybody behind him, and I was shocked. You had the crowd chanting, we want Roman, we want Roman. I was like, well, it worked, but it's probably just going to be just like it was at the Royal Rumble. Like, they cheered Roman when he won the title the second time, but then come the Royal Rumble 2016, they're booing him. So it's clear what they're doing. It's almost like WWE wants to give the fans what they want to see, but they're doing it through Roman. Like I was mentioning off screen last week about Kurt Angle. We missed the Kurt Angle that wasn't afraid to stand up to anybody. And when you have Roman going there talking about all the things that Kurt Angle should do, you're an Olympic Olympic gold medalist and all this stuff. That's what the fans want to see with Kurt Angle. So it's like I can't really get invested because I know what WWE's end game is here. And basically, to follow it back up to the question, where do they go from here? I think it's clear that we are probably nearing the end of Brock Lesnar's run, because for them to be splitting with Paul Heyman, where do you go after this? And it's almost like if Paul were to turn on him, in the storyline, Paul should go ahead and turn on him. We know, of course, Paul Heyman has now got a new position with WWE behind the scene, working on the creative team. Brock obviously wants to go back to UFC to face Daniel Cormier. So it's very interesting. I think Brock might be back, but he's obviously going to take some time to focus on UFC. Paul Heyman, do they keep him backstage as a writer, or do they maybe put him with someone new, maybe like Bobby Lashley, or maybe he joins Roman Reigns? But just like Tyler says, I don't think they're going to do anything that surprises us. Honestly, with this whole storyline, I feel like Roman's going to beat Brock Lesnar, and then they're going to go back and do the same storyline they've done with Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, the same storyline that they've done with Roman at Survivor Series, have probably Kevin Owens win the title by some sort of, not definitive way, and he's going to cash in, win the title, and it's going to be Kevin Owens with a title reign all fall, and we're back to Roman and Kevin Owens, which I think they feud all through the fall in 2016, 2 years ago, and I want to see the sadistic Kevin Owens back, not the cowardly Kevin Owens.
So, son, you said Kevin Owens, and I'm going to pass it on to Aaron.
Yeah, we go right to Kevin Owens.
What if, everybody says, will Heyman stick on TV? With Lesnar gone, he might just disappear backstage, which I'm totally fine with if he's helping creative. Maybe that's why we got an actual 3-hour thread. Maybe Heyman had a little bit of influence with that.
Right.
Could Heyman pair up with, everybody says Roman, but come on, Roman's not going to turn heel. Heyman is not a good guy manager. Could Heyman go to a turning Braun Strowman or to Kevin Owens? Aaron, what do you think?
Well, that's certainly a possibility, but like you guys pointed out, the problem is that there's just not much confidence in the creative team for them to really follow through and give us a compelling storyline with Paul Heyman. Now, in my opinion, in a perfect world, we would have Paul Heyman turn against Brock Lesnar and have a new guy that he represents, kind of like the old lion, young lion story, where Brock Lesnar becomes the old lion. Paul Heyman, the greedy bastard that he is, aligns himself with the young lion, and then you have Brock Lesnar feud with that new Paul Heyman guy. And that would be the big feud heading into WrestleMania. But of course, it's looking like Brock Lesnar's leaving after SummerSlam. Maybe he'll stick around. Maybe we'll get swerved again. But how many times is Roman going to lose to Lesnar? I think exactly. I'm thinking the worst case scenario, and that's the problem here. I have my expectations so low that if they actually do something a little bit different, I'll be happy with it. But I'm thinking Roman Reigns wins the title. And I'm not even expecting a cash-in at this point. I think WWE is just going to have Reigns win. People might get their hopes up and stick around, not leave the building because they think, well, maybe there'll be a cash-in, and then there's no cash-in, and Reigns ends the pay-per-view as champion. Everyone's pissed off, but it's just business as usual. That's my prediction at this time. I know we have the predictions video coming up soon, but right now I'm thinking that it's going to be Reigns winning. Paul Heyman, what's next for him if Lesnar leaves? I would like to see him stay on television. I think he is a great television performer. And if I have criticized Heyman, it's because of the lines that he's given. He goes out there and says the same thing every week. It's nothing against him. He is fantastic. And when he's given even decent material, I think he can make it great. Paul Heyman is definitely one of the best talkers in WWE, in any era for that matter. Definitely one of the best virtue.
I actually disagreed with Vince Russo today because I was listening to him. He's not a big fan of Paul Heyman. And he basically said, quote, Paul Heyman should be a cartoon character on WWE. When he comes out, they should cut to a cartoon of his voice behind it. And he was bashing it, said that Paul was over the top on Raw. And it was funny because as I was watching Paul Heyman's facial expressions, everything he was doing, I'm like, that's kind of the stuff I want. Not everything in wrestling needs to be real like Tommaso Ciampa feeling. I do want some cartoony characters in there. And for managers, Jimmy Hart, Bobby Heenan, that's perfect. So Vince Russo, finally, you and I disagree on something. I love Paul Heyman's performance on Raw, and I hope we get to see more of it going forward. Let's move on. This was from our buddy Tito Wrestling. Follow him on Twitter, by the way, people, at Tito Wrestling. So with soaring WWE stock prices, $80+ a share, their financial success recently with the Fox Network, the USA Network, stadium events in big countries, could they be, this is his question, could they be more successful if they had better top stars? In particular, I know where he was going with this, a better top star, referring to Roman Reigns. He says ever since the Cena changeover of the guard to Roman happened, the ratings fell, house show attendance fell. So he's specifically blaming Roman. But my point is that's about the time WWE stopped pushing individual stars like Cena. Yes, Roman's the guy. He's Vince's guy. We know that. But it's like they have handcuffs on him now, and they don't let them be Stone Cold, Rocks, and John Cena's. So right. I don't think it's Roman. I think if you let Roman go out there and shoot against the crowd, this guy's going to get mega heat way over, and people will be invested. Son, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts? How could WWE be more successful based on how much money they're making? And I know people look at revenue, right? And they're spending more money, therefore they're making more money. But what's the bottom line? Stone Cold Steve Austin. But do you think they could be, I guess Tito's question in a nutshell is, could they be more successful if they had a Stone Cold or a Rock this era?
Absolutely. With all the money that they are bringing in, you look at that, okay, they're financially good. But when you look at the other side, the attendance has been down. Not all the tickets are selling out. They just got their lowest ratings. That means people are turning out from the product. It's really coming down to the most hardcore of hardcore fans, it seems, that's watching. The merchandise sales are always going to be good. So when you look at it, WWE's in an interesting position right now where basically due to all the money that they're getting from the Saudi deal, the Fox deal, and I think the NBC Universal deal, they've got the money. But meanwhile, it seems when you look at the audience, it's declining. So imagine.
Now this is where I do my moderator part, and you'll continue here in a second. Are people not watching or going to the events where it's hurting those numbers because in today's world of social media, they catch clips online and YouTube and social media and follow the product that way? There's some numbers that WWE has on social media and YouTube hits that they're selling bills of goods to these Saudis, Australians, and even the TV networks. You know what I mean? Because just say 3 million people watch Raw or 2 million people watch SmackDown. If SmackDown and Raw are being talked about on social media with more people looking at that executives are seeing those numbers. Go ahead. I think that's affecting it, Son. Do you?
I think a little bit. It definitely is a lot easier to catch it. Like, for one, thanks, Aaron, I found Sling TV. So, I don't have cable. I watch it on Sling TV. So there is a lot of that going around. But I feel there's other shows that have gotten big ratings like The Walking Dead. And I feel like people are just going to go ahead and watch it. And in my experience in talking to some people, casual fans, I've seen a lot of people say, I don't want to watch it. It's so predictable. It's not like it used to be. I'll use a quick example too. Asuka. There were two girls on my Facebook, and they were artists, and they're very much into Japanese culture, and they saw clips of Asuka, and they were like, wow, I might want to start watching wrestling. That's when I'm like, they've got something with Asuka. But of course, you see what they've done with Asuka now, and that's where I'm kind of thinking, if they let these superstars, as you were saying, Virtue, if they let these superstars go ahead and cut the promos, let it shoot from the heart, give them bullet points, but shoot from the heart, I feel like we could relate to them much more. I feel like, if they made storylines, much more, more serious, like, let us know who these characters are. You get more invested into it. But when you're just doing these long matches on Raw, just match, and then you're doing stuff where they're trying to force feed it with Roman Reigns, that's basically where I feel like that's what's turning people off from the product. So they've got the money, but I do think, yes, if they went ahead and they invested more into letting these superstars be free. I've always told my friends that I don't want the Attitude Era back, but I want the excitement of the Attitude Era back. Bring back the excitement, the feeling that you got when you were watching an Attitude Era show, and just watch the people grow, watch the audience grow, and I think they would make more money. So I hope that answers the question.
The unpredictability of the Attitude Era.
Right.
All right, TJS, what's your thoughts on all this, man?
Well, I feel like WWE doesn't really need that Rock or Austin star because people don't really go to shows for the superstars anymore. They go because it's WWE. If you look at the Saudi Arabia show, I mean, they just had families there and everything. But and you look at the live event attendance, yeah, it's down. But WWE doesn't care about that. They're making the big bucks with the Fox deal and the Greatest Royal Rumble. And because I looked at it, and I think that they made like twice the amount of money that they did on the Greatest Royal Rumble than they did WrestleMania. And they've got another Saudi Arabia show coming up. So WWE doesn't really care about the house show attendance because house shows don't typically sell it anyway. So they just see those low attendance numbers. They don't care. As long as they're getting their network subscriptions, they're getting their house show or their YouTube clips, which they just reached 30 million subscribers on YouTube. They're getting all kinds of views. They have billions of views, and that's monetized too. So they're getting money from that. They've got the Fox deal, like I said. The USA Network is still going to be paying for Raw. They're just drowning in money, and I don't think they really need like a top star or anything. Aaron, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that if you had a new Austin or Rock, business would go up. You would have more people watching, potentially more network subscribers and all that. But the fact is, the WWE brand is perhaps the strongest it's ever been, and they have other ways of making money. It's not all about pay-per-view buy rates anymore and house show attendance and live events. They're making money in all sorts of different avenues, and I think because they cleaned up the product, that also helped strengthen the brand. Like Sun said, we need just that excitement of the Attitude Era, not necessarily the really offensive and edgy storylines. I mean, an edge is a good thing, but you need a balance, I think. And with WWE, they really cleaned up their act, and it made the brand more appealing to people like Fox and other advertisers out there, because during the Attitude Era, they were doing huge numbers, but a lot of advertisers did not want to spend money on WWE, and the advertising rates were not as good as other shows that actually did fewer viewers than WWE. Now WWE viewership is down, but WWE as a brand is overall stronger, and advertisers are more willing to spend money on WWE, and that's why Fox can make a big offer for WWE programming. So it is a different era now, and it's not exactly the same, but I feel there's always a way for WWE to gain more popularity by creating more captivating television and making new stars. They're going with Roman Reigns as their guy, and it is what it is, and we just got to either go along with the ride or get off the ride, whatever we choose.
Yeah, and I don't pinpoint it on superstars not delivering, because it's almost like management is not allowing Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman to become bigger than WWE like Stone Cold kind of did, like The Rock definitely did, like Hogan, like John Cena. Because what happens, they can do things outside of WWE, and WWE becomes secondary, and that pisses Vince off. And Vince likes to control his talent. And again, it's creative and management that's keeping their product like it is. I don't think it's Roman failing. Because if Roman was able to go out there and Strowman and any of these guys that are the new generation, and they tried to no handcuffs and be anything they could be, and they were bad at it, I would be singing a different tune, Mr. Tito. I would say Roman's a failure. But I don't know that. I don't know that because I'm not going to hold it against him by what they give him, because that's all we know. So good, man. We got to move on from this one. But moving on. This was something very interesting that happened. I don't know if we really talked about it last week. Randy Orton and his recent heel turn with Jeff Hardy. I mean, the whole finger in the ear hole thing. I guess I want to ask this question, and Aaron, I'll start with you, because to me, his recent heel actions, heel turn, is what I miss in wrestling. And I know with WWE's PG product, they usually don't get too risque like that.
Right.
You can say to an extent Ciampa and NXT as well, but that's a niche fan base down there. But is this an appropriate way, especially today, to generate heat? Aaron Rift, have at it.
I want to see him do more, but yeah, like I said before, WWE has to be careful about the sponsors and advertisers. I don't think what Orton did on SmackDown was all that extreme compared to some of the things we have seen in the past. I mean, go back and watch some stuff from Triple H during the Attitude Era with the sledgehammer hitting somebody in the head with it and busting them open. Orton is doing some pretty serious stuff to Jeff Hardy with those beatdowns, but I've definitely seen things more extreme over the years and more intense. But overall, I think that he's doing a great job, and I would like to see him do more and push the envelope even a little bit more. But
what was that tweet you retweeted or something? Somebody said something. Was that real? The night that, or just this past Tuesday?
Yeah, apparently somebody was really upset because their kids were watching and they got upset about Jeff Hardy getting beat up. But come on now. I mean,
that's awesome. I love it.
Has WWE gotten...
That's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Right.
Has WWE gotten that soft now that people are just conditioned to, very family-friendly show, and then when they see something that is a little extreme, they freak out about it? WWE is not a kid's show. I mean, it is, but it's guys going in the ring and beating each other up. It's physical violence. It's simulated violence. And, if you're going to have your kid watch it, I think you need to let them know, hey, these guys are friends in real life, and, it's just like a movie. And sometimes they're going to hit hard. There might even be blood, and it's not real. It's just part of the show. So, yeah, it just depends on parents. They have to make the decision for their kids. But WWE, I want to see it with the envelope pushed a little bit more. I don't know if that's going to happen, but Randy Orton, hats off to him, and he seems to be really enjoying his role being a heel again. TJS, your thoughts on Orton, and if that segment was too extreme or if people are just making a big deal out of it for no good reason?
Well, I saw the post that you shared about the whole mom getting upset, and I mean, think about if you take your kids to a horror movie. You take them to see Friday the 13th, and if they get scared, are they expecting Jason to come out and take his mask off and be like, oh, it's just a movie? No.
Well, now, are we doing apples and oranges, though, Tyler? Rated R versus PG? Maybe that's what's making the parents upset?
I don't know. I just feel like, it's like Aaron said, there's going to be violence in the show. And they're fighting each other. And, there's good guys and bad guys, which is how it should be. And I think that Orton's doing a good job. The whole ear thing, oh God, it just makes me cringe thinking about it, And I thought he did great washing the face paint off Jeff Hardy. And then, he built up for the RKO, and then he didn't do it because that's what the crowd wanted.
Nice touch.
I thought that was spectacular. I think that he needs to not do the RKO anymore. And I know that's a big part of his character, but when he was a babyface, I think that's when it got over. So now, since he's a heel, don't give the fans what they want. Don't do the RKO. Come up with something new that's not as flashy. Turn your finisher into a headlock or something. That's Randy Orton's signature anyway, isn't it? But, you look back, I remember when Randy Orton gave the draping DDT to Stephanie McMahon when Triple H was handcuffed, and even kissed Stephanie when she was unconscious. This dude can be a great heel, if they take the handcuffs off of him and just let him go all out, which I think it was PG even back then when he did that to Stephanie. I think that they need to go full-blown with him and perhaps make him the world champion sometime down the road as a heel. Hopefully this sticks. Son, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Yeah, I liked how he hyped it up about the RKO and then didn't do it. And I think maybe just say the RKO for what it is, out of nowhere. save that for as a last resort in his moves. And shoot, we go back to early PG era when Randy Orton was kicking dudes in the skull, man. I love 2009 Randy Orton, man. I love how vicious he was, and we've seen even going back to the Legend Killer days how great of a heel Randy Orton can be. And he's said in interviews he loves being a heel. And I guess as far as the beatdowns he's been doing on Jeff Hardy, that's pretty much, I think, probably about the most you're going to get out of the PG era with the constraints. I wouldn't even mind if they start adding fake blood in. I know I've heard about like using time capsules. I think they did it once with Triple H and Roman Reigns. Just have the camera go off to the referee and the Randy Orton while maybe the wrestler goes ahead and takes the blood capsule, put it all over. Yeah, we know it's not real blood. I know they're doing it for us.
Did he freeze? Or is it just me?
Yeah, I don't hear him.
He has been censored by.
You're back. Let him catch up. Oh, well, all right. So
what happened there?
Are you back?
You were so hyped up that Skype could not handle it.
It couldn't handle the power.
Talking about the blood. Pick up from the blood. You were talking about the blood.
Okay, so yeah, I'm like, if they got to use fake blood and use the camera from a different angle and everything just to go ahead and tell the narrative, I'm fine with it. Yes, you're going to get fans complaining, it's fake blood, it's not real. Back in our day, they cut each other up. Yeah, but if it adds to the narrative, just so be it. And I was going to say, Randy Orton, the way I was cringing, yeah, when he was doing the ear tugging on Jeff for a single moment there. I'm like, is he really going to pull the ear? Like that part of the ear, I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was really cool. And I'm like, you haven't seen that before. And I love when things get innovative in professional wrestling. So I think what we're heading towards with Randy Orton is really good. But yeah, I would like to see him push the envelope. And before I finish up here on the topic, Aaron, I was thinking about what you just said when you were talking about the mother was getting upset. I'm going to be honest. Here's the way my parents raised me and my brother when we were watching. They told us that, okay, you're going to see a lot of stuff on this Attitude Era show, violence and all that stuff. And they're like, you can watch it, but don't do it in person. And we didn't do it in person, and we turned out all right. So, I mean, back in the day, that's why I was laughing with the evil laugher. Because I'm like, good. Yes, I'm like, that's exactly what a heel is supposed to do. So, yeah.
Son hears voices in his head. I love it. So Randy Orton, right? He's one of those performers. Clearly, he's better at being a heel.
Yep.
His dad, Cowboy Bob Orton, worked closely with Roddy Piper. And who did Orton work with when he broke into WWE? Triple H and Ric Flair. He learned how to do things, and that's why I think he does the heel so well, because of all those people. So I want to see more of it. I want to see parents sending letters in. But hey, we'll see what happens. Good discussion on
You're always going to offend somebody out there.
Yeah, well, that's true. And we have here on the No DQ review, but we've apologized. Let's talk about Braun Strowman. I know we've done it before, but someone on Twitter asked, do you think Braun is too big for creative to handle? And that was such a perfect question. Because I think it's true. If anything, if we've always agreed on something consistently on the No DQ review, it's WWE's creative decisions are sometimes, a lot of times. So, Aaron, let me start with you. Is Braun too big for creative to handle? Or do you think when they come up with something good for a guy like that, they're too afraid to pitch it to Vince?
Well, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of The Undertaker in the 1990s, where The Undertaker was this huge star. He had a great gimmick, but WWE did not want to put him in the main events. It was Shawn Michaels. It was Bret Hart. Undertaker was feuding with guys like Giant Gonzalez and feuding with Yokozuna. Undertaker was never in the main events up until around 97 when he got back into the title picture, and they even made a storyline out of it. So it almost feels the same with Braun Strowman right now, where he's getting over to a large degree. The fans love him. He has everything Vince likes in a major star. But Roman Reigns is the guy they're going with right now, so they have to keep Strowman away from Roman Reigns right now. And because of that, yeah, it feels like he's kind of getting lost in the shuffle, even though he's one of their top stars, and he could be the top star in the company. He could be the guy carrying things, but right now the focus is still on Roman Reigns. Will that change after SummerSlam? Will Strowman feud with Reigns again? We'll have to wait and see. TJ, yes, your thoughts on the situation?
I don't understand why Strowman isn't the Universal Champion. I mean, this guy has been on such a roll since he got out of his feud with Roman, and he really established himself after he beat Roman Reigns. And then he wins a 50-man Royal Rumble, okay? And then he wins at WrestleMania. He wins the tag titles basically by himself. And then he wins Money in the Bank. So the guy's got the size that Vince likes. He can talk. He has this catchphrase. He's over with the fans. So why isn't this guy the champ? I don't get it. You look at Roman Reigns, who's been getting booed for 3 years, and Strowman is just so over, and he's got everything that Vince wants. He's Vince's dream superstar, I dare say. And for some reason, he's in a mid-card feud with Kevin Owens, and it feels like it's a comedy feud. I don't understand. I'm not sure where they're going with Braun. I have a feeling that he's going to lose his briefcase, and then I guess Owens is going to win the title, but what happens then? Where does Strowman go from there? Does he get traded to SmackDown? Who on SmackDown is worth Braun Strowman in a trade? I don't understand. He's done pretty much everything on Raw except win the World Championship, so I don't know what's going on. Son, what do you think?
So when I take a look at Braun Strowman, just everything like you mentioned, ever since the feud with Roman, he's been on fire. They finally turned him babyface. To me, it feels like they're in the middle. They want to book him towards being the top guy, but that's where they want Roman. So we're like, we're not going to put you here. But we know and recognize your popularity, so we don't want to put you all the way down. And to be honest, they've booked him strong all year. They had him win the Greatest Royal Rumble. They booked him strong through the Money in the Bank build-up and had him actually win Money in the Bank. So they broke the status quo with that one. But it feels like they just want to keep Braun Strowman here because they want Roman to be their top guy, and they're like, we want Roman. Do you think
they're afraid if they put Strowman there that the fans like the chase more and would end up getting sick of him once he's there? Because look at Roman. I'm just saying, do you think they think of things like that? I do.
I think when it comes to that, it would be a thing where, like you look at CM Punk's title reign. When CM Punk won the title, everyone was so excited. We're finally going to get CM Punk with a long reign. But then you look at how they treated him as champion until he finally became a heel. I think it would be, and I remember there were a lot of fans online saying CM Punk's boring now, and then they loved him when he went back to being heel. I think if they play their cards right and they do what they've been doing with Strowman and they just go full throttle, they put the effort they've put into Roman the past half decade and they put it into Strowman, I think there's a good chance the fans will stick with him. But if they basically just play it down and they just start doing like a lot of the lame comedy stuff they've done with him and Owens and everything, people are going to be like, all right, Strowman's getting boring. It's just a matter of coming up with creative ideas, very much like Stone Cold Steve Austin. When you watched him back in 1998, every single week, what are they going to do with him? They always come up with something new, whether it be the Zamboni, putting the Simon in Vince's Corvette, always something new, the beer truck. So if you just keep coming up with creative ideas for Braun, I think that's going to work. And I feel like that's why Braun is a lot over than Roman Reigns, even with a casual fan, because you look at what they've done with Roman all year, getting beat by Brock, but then look at all these cool stuff Braun's doing with trucks and everything. So if they can keep it innovative, yes, I think they can keep the fans on Braun's side. But if they just, I think, keep going down this route, fans are going to be like, oh, I see what's going on here. Boo, Braun.
Yep, and I've been a proponent of Braun. Everybody knows that, oh, you're the Roman Reigns guy on No DQ. If I had a choice, I would push Braun over Roman as a babyface because I see how the fans are accepting him. And you know what? That Roman and Braun feud got Braun to the show. So if anything, that proves that even if it's the hate towards Roman, he's good at getting guys over. Because,
they got chemistry.
Yeah, and again, but after that, they just kind of flatline Braun. But I would like to see Braun as the guy, right? Even at the expense of Roman not being the guy. I would, that would be my number one choice if I was a writer pitching to Vince McMahon without fear of losing my job. So
I think he's earned it.
So raw. Do one for us, son. Do a Braun intro. Can you do one?
That's about
nice. Money, Money, and not Carmella. Let's go to SmackDown briefly. Aaron, I want to call you out on something here. You like Samoa Joe's recent promos, and so I question it to a point that he cut a promo on SmackDown with about AJ, brought the personal and the family in there. Okay, whether he did that naturally, I'm sure he was directed to do that. Is he? You said he's doing some of the best promo work in the company. I don't even think he's close to The Miz right now. So, Aaron, defend Joe's promos. I'm just not feeling it. I know we had this issue last year with Usos, that you loved the Uso promos, and it took me a while to buy into it.
Right.
Maybe I haven't heard Joe enough. And by the way, I do like the screaming, because that's old school. Yeah. I do like the screaming. But there's just something still not clicking to me to call Joe's promos great. What are you seeing, maybe that I'm not?
Well, I find the guy scary. So when he's out there talking, he's intense as hell, and the facial expressions, the look in his eyes. Joe is a terrifying heel as far as I'm concerned. If I'm a kid watching this, I'm creeped out by the guy. I think Joe has great delivery. I think he has great facial expressions. And I know you brought up what was the word he was saying over and over again?
You see, yeah. So, but it's like if you ever took a speech class and you do and it's hard to get rid of cadences like that. So
right. But the thing is, I don't have a problem with that, and I didn't even notice it until you brought it up. I think it's okay to throw out an or a huh or just a stall when you're cutting a promo, because it gives it a little bit more of a realistic feel to it. When every single word is perfect, every single line is perfect, then it feels too scripted. So I like when they flub their lines a little bit, just because it gives it a little bit more of a realistic feel. I just think Joe, as a top heel on SmackDown, he hit all the notes he needed to hit. He made it personal with AJ, and he was doing what a villain would do: take shots at AJ's family and make it personal. And I just thought his delivery was really well done. TJS, your thoughts on Joe's promo, and do you think Miz is better than him?
Well, I think it's really hard to say. I think Samoa Joe's incredible, but at the same time, I think Miz is awesome too, because Miz, I don't know, I just feel like Samoa Joe, you get intimidated by this guy because he's screaming. This guy put Brock Lesnar to sleep on Raw once. You see him, he's just a badass, and you know that he can fight. Whereas when the Miz is talking, you're not afraid of the Miz like you are Joe. I think the Miz's best promo was on Talking Smack, and I think that was great. But other than that, I think the Miz is overrated on the mic. I think that he's fine. I think he's good. But I don't.
Some fighting words.
I don't think he's overrated. I think Miz is good at a different type of heel promo than Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is doing a main event type promo. Miz tends to be more like a mid-carder when it comes to his promos. He cuts the promos with the idea that you want to see somebody kick his ass. Miz is a trash talker. Joe is just a guy who is scary and will just be a ruthless son of a bitch that will say whatever it takes to get under somebody's skin. With the Miz, he's just a trash talker. He just runs his mouth, but it's that kind of promo where he's writing a check that his ass cannot cash.
Yeah, I mean, their characters are just so vastly different. I guess I don't think Miz is overrated on the mic. I guess that I'm just tired of seeing Miz TV. I wish they'd do something different with him. I'm just tired of the talk show segments. But I mean, I think Joe is awesome, and I think Miz is good too. I'd say they're about equal, though, honestly. Son?
So, I think they both are two different types of promos. With Samoa Joe, he's the guy that's going to be intense, he's going to be serious, and he's just coming out there to let you know he's coming out there to kick your butt. But then with Miz, he's going to be more the flashy, the more flamboyant type. two different characters, two different styles. So I can't really compare and say one's better than the other. But I will say, Aaron, I do think Miz's promos are main event caliber. You put him in the main event, the promos he was cutting back when he was WWE champion, I think work for him. Just Miz is tremendous on the mic. Both Samoa Joe, I think they both have great delivery, and Joe just has a presence about him. Stone Cold Steve Austin calls it the BMF walk. When Joe's music hits and you got the crowd chanting Joe, 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 and the way Joe walks out, he looks like he's coming to the ring to beat somebody's butt. He's looked like he's want to go out there and just put somebody to sleep, and that's the type of intensity that Samoa Joe brings when he's on the microphone. When they were zooming in on his face, the intensity, the eyes, just everything. Like, this is exactly what a dominant main event heel superstar, I feel like, looks like. But is WWE going to go all the way with Joe? And we've seen in his matches with Roman, once again, it's like that Strowman. Like, they're keeping Joe kind of close to the main event. They see where his value is in terms of that, but they don't want to go all the way with it. I feel if you put the title on Samoa Joe and you let him run rampant as a heel, I mean, I think, yeah, he'll be like Brock Lesnar, except he'll be around, right? He'll be that dominant force and everything. And Miz, I think he's good at what he does. It's just, I feel like for me, they're two different promos, two different characters, but it both works for what they do.
Yeah, and when Miz did cut his promo on Talking Smack, and even some of the promos with John Cena and Daniel Bryan, he can get really intense too, and that's when Miz is at his best. But then Miz also does the comedy with like Maurice doing the parody of John Cena and Nikki Bella, and then on SmackDown bringing up the babies. That's when Miz starts to make it comical. And that's the big difference with Joe.
I was gonna say, yeah, I saw your No DQ live, and that promo between Miz and Daniel Bryan was so intense. I'm getting sucked into it, and then the baby stuff happened. I'm like,
but that's
okay,
not
this
Miz.
Is something different, but
that's creative doing that.
Right.
Well, let's call Daniel Bryan a crybaby. Just dumb. Right. See, Joe's intense promos rely on him winning matches. Becoming a champion. If you're an ass kicker, you're going to get to the top and you're going to stay there, and they're not allowing him to do that. So therefore, my suspension of disbelief with Joe's promos is, but with Miz, he can cut a great heel promo, lose a match, come out on the next show, cut another great heel promo like he didn't even remember losing. That's why the Miz is the best promo in the business. Joe, maybe they just need to book him to win. Maybe if he beats AJ to become the WWE champion, then all of a sudden his promos will click with me. That simple. Again, are we blaming creative and management again? I think so. So, anyway.
Seems to be a running theme.
All right. Well,
running theme indeed.
Before we get to the main event, this is where I want to leave it open. Like, does anybody, and I think you do, Son, do you have a topic that you would like to talk about?
Yeah. So, I'm all for the whole women's revolution. I remember so many times watching, wishing that, man, it'd be so cool. We get a ladder match, Hell in a Cell, Women's Royal Rumble, and we finally got that. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's wonderful. I'm happy for all the women to get this moment. But my thing is, I feel like when they do these first ever time stuff with the women, I feel like the breaking of kayfabe, or just trying to put in this celebrating moment. Like going back to when they did the first women's Hell in a Cell match, it felt more like they were trying to celebrate it. But growing up in the Attitude Era, it's like, no, Hell in a Cell is where you're going to do what the match says. You're going into hell inside a cell. And that's why I liked that Mick Foley tried to bring that seriousness back to it. When the women had the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, all the women were in the ring were trying to rip each other's heads out. Stephanie comes out and says, we're having the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, and all of a sudden they're hugging and happy about it. And I'm like, oh, whoa. I feel like in what they were doing here when Triple H was out there, he was saying stuff like, when we get in this ring, we, protect one another. Because, obviously we know as fans that they're working together. They're working to make it look like they want to hurt each other, but they're not. And they're talking about how women matches went from 30 seconds to now we're getting 20, 25 to even 30-minute women's matches. And I'm like, breaking a little bit too much kayfabe, because I'm like, from a kayfabe standpoint, wasn't it just that the women were losing to their opponent that quick? But now that we've got more women who've become more competitive in the storyline, that's why the matches are getting more competitive. And in saying protect, like, if you're not even a big wrestling fan, you're watching this and you just watch Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley going out there trying to rip each other's heads off in that pull-apart brawl before Extreme Rules, and then you hear Triple H say, we all try to protect one another, and you're looking all through the show, these guys are hurting. Look at what they've been doing to Seth Rollins. These guys are trying to hurt each other in the storyline. So I feel like this stuff should be said behind the scenes. Let them celebrate behind the scenes, and that should be for us, the fans. So my question to all of you guys is: do you feel they're breaking kayfabe a little bit too much when they make these announcements for the women? I'm happy for them, but saying stuff like that on live TV during the program?
No, I'm completely with you on that. I think it's definitely taking a risk that people might start to lose interest in this women's revolution and might turn on it at the pay-per-view. I mean, I'm really curious to see how the fans react to that pay-per-view and how it plays out. And yeah, just in general, not just on WWE programming, but even social media, I don't think they should be breaking kayfabe as much as they do. But especially on television, I think they need to allow people the chance to suspend disbelief and not break character or not suggest that, oh, well, these people are really friends in real life. We want to see feuds. We don't want to see everybody all happy together and just being good friends and good sportsmanship. We want to see people that are trying to end each other's livelihoods. I mean, that's what pro wrestling is to me, going back for decades.
Right, and look at Alexa Bliss, how she's happy, and then she has to come back and cut a heel promo like, yes, I got chalked up in the moment, but make no mistake, it's all about me. And it's like, but we just saw you crying and hugging with everybody. You were trying to rip their head off 5 minutes ago.
And WWE is so determined to show all their great charity work on television. Look at all the stuff we're doing. And one segment you see Stephanie, and then you see her on television, and she's trying to be a heel. It's stuff. You know
which one bothered me the most? Yeah, and it was Nikki Cross, just because on NXT, not that she was in NXT on the main roster, and that created all kinds of questions. Just for the fact that it's Nikki Cross, you see how she does her ring entrance and insane and crazy, and she's out there bubbly and happy.
That was the most well-behaved we've ever seen her.
And your point about the list? Oh, TJS, any thoughts on this?
It's ridiculous. Personally, I think kayfabe should only be broken at the most serious times. Like when Owen Hart passed away, they broke kayfabe for that. When Jerry Lawler had his heart attack, they broke kayfabe for that. And anytime there's a significant death or any death in wrestling, I think that it's okay to break kayfabe then. But for this history-making, groundbreaking paper. Fine, I get it. You want to do the show, you can do that, but don't go on the flagship program with the top 3 authority figures of the company and say wrestling's fake. That's basically what they said. They said, look, we're just all friends and we're all just on the stage. They had rivals on the stage, like you guys said. The lunatic Nikki Cross was on the stage. They might as well just call Triple H Paul Levesque in that promo. They might as well just introduce him.
That's a good point. That's exactly who he was in that segment. That was a good point.
There's another company that did that kind of stuff too. It was called WCW.
And then, they're talking about the 30-second matches turning to main events. Wasn't that Vince's doing? Like, wasn't it Vince's fault? Weren't they divas because of Vince and the creative team? So why are they acting like this is? I don't get it. I don't know. I feel like the only 2 people that keep kayfabe alive anymore are Tommaso Ciampa and Chris Jericho. I don't know. Any other thoughts on this, guys?
Aaron, if that was your shot at WCW when the Goldberg character broke kayfabe, Hey, what do you expecting when a team that used to work for WWE went to the competition and they're already losing when they get there and they're trying to do the same thing without the evil genius of Vince McMahon, right?
I'll add one more part. I do think it's fine though if they go ahead and put it in like the documentaries, like the WWE 24/7 specials when they're showing you like the behind the scenes aspect and those type of specials. Like I think it's fine there, but on the show. Let's keep it to the storylines.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're CM Punk cutting a pipe bomb, but even then, that was his character. So he was breaking the fourth wall, but he was doing, So, all right, is everybody ready for the main event? Give us a main event call, Son. Can you do that like a Michael Buffer?
It's time for the main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have been waiting for this moment. This is what this panel has been building up. All four of us, Aaron Riff, TJS, Virtue, and Son Goku, we present to you the main event of the evening. I don't know what the final topic is, so I kick it away to you, Virtue.
NXT. So we're in SummerSlam season, and I know we usually don't get our call-ups till the WrestleMania season, but hypothetically, theoretically, whatever term you want to use, say we get a call-up soon this fall. I want to know if WWE did it, if we worked for WWE, if we were Triple H's right-hand man, and it was our decision to say who's getting pushed up there, what NXT star should, not will, should make the next impact on the main roster. So we're going to go around the horn. If you had to look at the current NXT product and you had to send somebody up to make an impact, who would it be? And you can do an honorable mention if you're undecided. Son, I'm going to start with you since you did that great introduction.
Thank you. So, all right, we know Aleister Black has just lost the title. It looks like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are going to stay up there in NXT. I guess I would say...
Remember, it's not will, it's who you think.
Oh,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what storyline it... Because if you're thinking about, because Black just lost the title, I don't want that... If you could just pluck anybody, no matter where they are, that's meat.
All right, I will admit, I'm gonna think. Obviously the question, is who to make an impact, because there's so much this time with NXT stars coming over, you feel like they're gonna screw them up and stuff, and it's like but if we're actually in this process that they're bringing them over and they're gonna excel them, put the rocket ship to them. I would say either Velveteen, you know what? I'll just mention all three. Why not? Velveteen, you know what? Actually, I got my two. Velveteen Dream and Johnny Gargano. Bring Johnny Gargano to SmackDown and have him feud with Daniel Bryan. That's going to get him way over, and just let him do his thing. Velveteen Dream, I say put him over on Raw and let him just be the sports entertainer that he is. It'll get over. Don't try to push him down. Don't try to hold him back, and let him go full throttle with it. And I think you've got money right there for both. So I say those two. I think Tommaso Ciampa can stay champion in NXT a little bit longer. So those be my two picks.
So what would you do? Would Gargano be a face and Velveteen a heel?
Yes, Gargano definitely would be a babyface, but Velveteen Dream, it's a little tricky. I feel like you can make him a heel, but the fans are just going to cheer him. And so many times we talk about, I know it's like WWE just going against the grain. So, I would let Velveteen Dream be a babyface, because I think that's naturally where the crowd's going to go. But you got to just let him do his thing. Don't do it where it's like Bobby Roode when he came out, because they knew the interest was going to get a big pop. They're gonna sing the glorious, so and then basically just let him be the entrance. Like, no, let him be that cool, the way he was on the microphone and how cocky and arrogant Bobby Roode could be. He could have been that cool type of baby face. So just let Velveteen Dream do his thing. I think the worst thing you can do is, if the fans love him, present him like a heel. I think it's just gonna fall flat on its face.
I agree on that. And I think that's a great point about Velveteen Dream. By the way, are you familiar with the "It's the Sweet One" commercials during Raw?
I think I heard them. I know in your reviews you mention it a lot. It's the sweet one, right? Something like that.
I was gonna ask you if you could do that impression, but I'm not sure how familiar.
Oh my
you are with
gosh,
the
I would have to
commercial.
see it one more time. I forget how high the voice. I'll do
It's
that
really
next
high.
time. Next
It's like
time.
it's the
Next
sweet
time.
one, something like
This
that.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
All right, but anyways, yeah, I think Velveteen Dream is a good choice because he is a great all-around sports entertainer. One could argue that he is so young, he doesn't need to go to the main roster yet. He can take his time. I'd like to see EC3 because I think he already has the experience from his first NXT run plus Impact Wrestling. He doesn't really need to be in NXT as far as I'm concerned. But you could say that about a lot of guys. I think a lot of them are ready. Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, even though they're all feuding for the world title. I think all those guys are ready to be on the main roster now. It's just a matter of finding the right time to call them up so they can come to the main roster and make the biggest impact possible. TJ, it's your thoughts on it.
Well, am I allowed to do factions? Can I say a faction?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so I've got two. I've got the faction, which is Undisputed Era. I think that once Bobby Fish is hailed, that they should all come up, and I think they should run Raw. I think Adam Cole should be Universal Champion, Roderick Strong Intercontinental, and O'Reilly and Fish Tag Team Champions. So it would be something different. We haven't had a strong faction. I wouldn't even call the Authority a strong faction. They were boring. But, you look at the Undisputed Era, those guys are over. Everyone loves them, even though they're heels. They kind of give me the NWO DX vibes. Those guys could easily, I think that they could be believable champions because they have strength in numbers. And I think that's what should happen with them. And then I think Aleister Black should come up too. And put him on SmackDown, give him like a really long winning streak. Because this guy should be taken seriously. There's no way you can make a comedy figure out of Aleister Black, right? I don't want to jinx it. WWE will probably find a way.
Yeah, don't have WWE Creative be like, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, I think that you should build up Aleister Black maybe for a year or so. Have Samoa Joe win the WWE title from AJ at WrestleMania. And then you have Aleister Black versus Samoa Joe, and that would be a stiff match, I think, a really hard-hitting bout. I think it would be great. But, we're just fantasy booking here. WWE is not going to give us what we want because we know how that goes. Aaron, did you say who you'd want to bring up besides EC3, and is there anyone else?
I want the timing to be right with all these guys. My fear is that because the roster is so crowded on Raw and SmackDown, that the NXT guys, any of them that get called up will get lost in the shuffle. Look what's happening to Authors of Pain right now. Look what's happening to Sanity. These guys came in and basically are just lost in the shuffle, and it feels like there's no direction for these guys. Authors of Pain, they were not on television for several weeks. They came on. Now they're losing singles matches.
You're having the negative attitude. You're having the negative attitude, though. I wanted to have the positive attitude. So when Owens got called up, he was feuding with John Cena, won the United States Championship right away.
That's why I think EC3, call him up, put him right towards the top of the card. I think he can do it. I think he's got the tools to be a big star in WWE. So if you're going to do it right, I think EC3 is a great pick. I think Velveteen Dream is a great pick too. He can go in there and he can be a top guy right away if they give him the opportunity.
That's my honorable mention, Velveteen Dream. I think he has the main roster character that would open Vince McMahon's eyes. So therefore, I think that booking would be on his side, unlike a lot of other NXT stars that fizzled out or flatlined. So I had a very hard time not making Velveteen my number one pick because I'm thinking, if this could happen, TJ, as you mentioned, fantasy booking. Well, we're heading into SummerSlam. Have Tommaso Ciampa lose the NXT title to whoever, Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, I don't know. Have Daniel Bryan beat The Miz, that feud ends, and that Tuesday on SmackDown, have Daniel Bryan get beat down by Tommaso Ciampa and have him get booed out of the building because we know it worked with Gargano. Well, Bryan's got 10 times the fan base as Gargano. Do it and push it hard and let that be a because think about it. Daniel Bryan, right, has been working somewhat soft to protect his head and all that. Have Ciampa make it dirty, even if it's safe. Make it look like he's going for the head. It could be epic. I want to see Ciampa. He's probably maybe the top heel in the game today. Can you name one better?
Jericho?
That's a good point. But in WWE circle, though, Jericho, part-timer, we got to dismiss him. In full-time WWE circle, who?
No, I don't think so.
Nobody also as well, yeah. That heel heat. We experienced that heel heat live in Chicago at NXT TakeOver.
Yep. And he won the match, too, didn't he?
Sure did.
Well, there you go. All right. Good topics, everybody. But I think we'll call it a week. Son, thank you for joining the No DQ review, number 28.
Thank you guys for having me.
That breath of fresh air. So let's go around now. I'll start with you. Plugs, Twitter handles, T-shirts. I don't know. What do you got?
All right, so basically, obviously, I know most of you guys are professional wrestling fans out there. So after the pay-per-views or any basically main show for NXT or WWE, I do cover that in podcast-like fashion with audio reviews. And also, obviously, if you guys can tell by my name, Son Goshoku, I'm a big anime fan and an even bigger Dragon Ball fan. So I got Dragon Ball reviews and discussions going up. Just put out episode 131, and we'll be covering the new Broly movie in a pre-discussion I got coming up. And if you guys couldn't tell, I do a lot of different types of voices and all that stuff, and different takes of voices and characters and all that stuff. And those I was talking about, the way you project your entire emotion. With that said, in my you guys can hear all my voiceover work, and I've been working on a short film called Battle of Deception, where I play my own character, Decep. Edited all that stuff, did a bunch of time, like 5,000 hours, still working on it. So got all the behind-the-scenes interviews and the teaser trailer up on my channel. So you basically can follow me at YouTube, basically subscribe, and then also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at Son Goshoku. That is spelled SONGOSHUAKU. So that's where you guys can find me. Look forward to talking to you. And once again, No DQ Galaxy, thank you so much. I am beyond, just beyond honored, basically, of all your wonderful, nice, kind comments out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. TJS, follow that up.
Well, hard to follow, I'll say. Well, you guys can go to nodq.com/shirts. I have a shirt there. You can get that wonderful No DQ review shirt that Virtue's wearing, the great No DQ debate shirt that Aaron's wearing. There's a great series of videos out there featuring Aaron, Virtue, and Stefan Osborne, who also has a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. And you can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_TJS, as well as Instagram. And to get to my Facebook page, you can just type in nodq.com/TJS. I do polls. Sometimes I upload videos. Recently, I uploaded a video of it's a compilation of the times Roman Reigns has gotten championship matches despite losing big matches, which was on nodq.com. I went ahead and uploaded it to my Facebook. So you guys just check me out there. Aaron.
August 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Call in. I will be doing a special 2-hour live stream. You guys can call in, give your thoughts on wrestling, any topic you have. It's my first ever 2-hour live stream, August 30th. It's a Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And of course, until then, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the other videos. Follow everybody. Follow TJS, NoDQ.com/TJS. Follow Son. I'll make sure to post a link on the video description and in the comments. And leave a comment on the video. Let us know what you thought about the video today, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and all that good stuff. And that's all I got for this time. Virtue, you want to go ahead and wrap this up?
I'll keep it short and sweet. Twitter, at NoDQ_Virtue. All my stuff will be there. You can go to Facebook, nodq.com/Virtue with a small V. So for Son, for TJS, and for Aaron Rift, I'm Virtue. See you, NoDQ Galaxy.